Well, hello, and welcome to Mill Lab number 2, MTTC 107. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this part here. This is in the module. Go ahead and download it. Remember, the only thing that you have to send me is the program. Don't send me the setup sheet or the coordinate sheet. I highly recommend you do those, especially the coordinate sheet. Uh, what I'm going to do is go through the basic program today, and we're going to talk about just exactly how to use cutter comp. Okay, so we got cutter comp on this one. Right here it is. We'll talk more about it later. And how to turn it on, how to turn it off. And we got some arcs too. Notice. So we got a half-inch radius gauge, 500 thousandths, 500 thousandths, 500 thousandths, 500 thousandths. These are actually chamfers. Okay, doesn't say chamfer, but it is. It's drawn like a radius, but it's a chamfer. So trust me on that. Chamfer. Okay, so let's start off real quick. Percent sign, always program number, starts with a capital O, 4 to 5 digits. Safety line, let's put in the word safety line here. Okay, and be sure to put both those. If you don't put those parentheses in there, that thing will screw up. So Control S, there we go, saving that. Okay, notice we got a G54. That's going to activate tool length offsets. I'm not going to put that on there. All right, not activate tool length offsets, excuse me, but activate work offsets. So there we go, activate the work offsets. I'm doing a little bit of editing here as I go. I figured you didn't want to watch me do the whole thing. It would take too long. You wouldn't watch it anyway. All right, so after we've activated our work offsets, setting part 0, X0, Y0 is going to be down here at the lower left hand corner of the part. Z0 is going to be on top of the part. That's pretty much put up in the instructions. All right, so this may not be exactly the way it is in your lab. We'll just see. All right, so here's my tool change. Tool 01, MO6. I'm going to use a quarter inch 4 flute end mill. Okay, then I'm going to turn it on, spindle on clockwise at 764 RPM. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to activate my tool length offset. Now remember, your H number here has to be the same as your T number. Very important. Okay, and also has to be done in a move. Now the G43 will do all that. This time I'm going to wrap down to 4 inches above the part. This is going to be a clamp jump. Okay, so I got that. Next thing I'm doing is I'm going to X0 Z.1 MO8. So I'm going to home, part 0 and 100 thousandths of a part in Z, and I am going ahead and turn on the coolant. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to move to a safe start. Now this safe start position has to be, this is pretty important, safe start for cutter comp. We're going to move to a point where it allows us to make moves towards the part that are at least greater than the radius of the cutter we're using. In this case, it's a quarter inch, so the radius of the cutter would be 125 thousandths. So I usually add 50 just for the fun of it, just to make sure everything's clear, so I end up with 175 thousandths. So I'm going to start at X minus 75, basically, and Y minus 175. Basically, if you had a half-inch cutter, 250 plus 50 extra thousandths, that's 300. So you'd set this at X minus 300, Y minus 300. If you do it like this, it'll work every single time. All right. There'll be other places we show you how to do other stuff, but this is not the most advanced class. So we're doing that. Remember, that is happening at a rapid move because that is modal. Modal means it's going to be that way until we change. All right, I'm in that position. This line, what am I doing here? Well, I'm going to bring Z down, okay, because I'm well off the part. So I'm doing it in linear interpolation. That means a controlled move at a controlled feed rate. I'm going 130 thousandths. The part's 130 or 120 thousandths thick. I've already calculated up the feed rate. We'll go over, I have a different video on how to do that, how to calculate up the feed rate. All right. We're also going to use NC Viewer here. NC View, and I'm going to show you a little bit how to use that. I've got another video that I'm posting on how to use that, a little introduction to it. It's pretty simple. It's easier than NC Plot. All right, so once I've brought Z down, I'm at my safe start spot. I'm down here. All right, what am I going to do? Well, I'm just going to go ahead and linear interpretation again, G01. Now I'm going to do cutter comp left. Now, since we're going to climb mill, we always climb mill, always climb mill, always climb mill on CNC. All right, always going to do that. Since we're always claw milling, this is a cutter. Look at my little magnifying glass. See, it's to the left of the line. Now it's to the right of the line. That would be a G42. That would be a G41. So I got G41. And I'm moving to X0. This is why I backed off 175 thousandths. So I can move to X0. Again, I'm moving at my calculated feed rate. Cutter comp is definitely going to be left of it. That's all you have to do. But this does have to be made, okay, in a move. Now, there's something else that goes on here. While I'm doing this, we need to put a D in there. Now, this D number, excuse me, this D number, basically it's going to go into the control. When it sees this, it'll go into the control. And whatever size we tell it the cutter is, it's going to use half of that to make its moves and its calculations. Without it, it won't work. So we have to have that D number in there. So now NC Viewer doesn't do cutter comp. It's just a plotting package, so it's actually just going to plot the center line, but you have to have that D number in there, Control S. So make sure you put that in there. Okay. Later on, we can change this number and do a lot of cool things with it. So put that D number in there, and it does not have to have a decimal point. All right. Once I have gone ahead and moved to X0, so I was down here, I've moved over here. All right. And I'll put this in here and try to make it so it does one line at a time, but it won't do the cutter comp, so I'm trying to do the cutter comp here. Then I'm going to go ahead and move it to Y0. So what it'll do is, instead of actually making a move like this is like what you would expect it to do, it'll do something like this, and it'll stop right there. So it'll be here, X minus 175, Y minus 175. Then we do those two moves over and up, but it'll actually go whoomp, and it'll stop right there. Yay. Okay. Now, we'll call that, we're not going to call that any point at all right now. Later on you can put the points. I find that people number points any way they want to anyhow, so it doesn't really matter. All right, so once we've done that, what's the next thing we're going to do? Like I said, we've comped over. Now that one right there, cutter comp left activate, it's really, I'm going to get rid of that because we've already activated it. But you do have to have two moves. One, the first move has to be perpendicular to whatever, this is a line, so we're moving perpendicular, square, whoomp, whoomp. So the first move has to be perpendicular, and the next move has to be in the direction that you're going to cut. So that's what we're doing. All right. So rather than put all these points down, let me see if I can do that a little bit. I already said I was going to delete that. Control S. Very good. Okay. So what are we going to do here? We are moving to Y0. Now that seems like really not the best move in the world. I'm going to change that off a little bit and make that actually, we'll leave it alone, but you don't really have to do that. You can go directly to Y820. So we're going to call this again. Let's go ahead and number our points. So it's Y0 is going to be 0.1. I'll do that now. Okay. So it's going to go to there. Then it's going to go up to here. Now, like I said, this is a chamfer, so we're at X0, but we're 60 thousandths down in Y. So 880 minus 60 is 820. All right, so that's 0.2. So we're moving straight line, 0.2, G01. Now remember, the feed rates are modal, so we don't have to put the feed rate every time. I did that last time. I'm not going to do that this time. It just takes too long, and you don't have to do it anyway. So let's not worry about that. So after that, we're going to go to this next one. We'll call it 0.3. All right, at 0.3, it's going to be right here. At this time, X should have been, since this is a 45-degree triangle, says so right there. So the length of one side is the same as the other. You know, the short sides are always going to be the same length. If you don't know that, you need to look that up. I'm sure you do by now anyway, though. So that means we're going to go to X 60 thousandths and Y 880 thousandths. All right, because Y is up here at 880 thousandths, and that's another G01. All right, let's go to 0.4. Hit that Control S. Yeah, this is moving a lot quicker. Okay, so now we want to go to right here. So it's another G01. So at that particular point here, let's see, where are we at here? x is going to be 1. Now, how did I come up with that? Well, it's 500 thousandths from there to there. 500 thousandths from there to there. So that's 1 inch. And 500 thousandths from there to there. So that's 1.5 inches. And that's where point 1 is. So if I take 1.5 inches and subtract it from this, I end up with 1 inch. So x is going to be 1 inch. Y is still going to be 880. Again, you really don't need to program this, but I would just for the sake of clarity. Okay? All right, so we're right here. We're getting ready to start. All right, we're going to go to our 0.5 here. And we're going to start our first arc. Now, this one is very similar to the lathe. GO2 is going to be arcs clockwise. GO3 is going to be arcs counterclockwise. And if you don't like the O's, deal with it. G02 is arc clockwise. G03 is arc counterclockwise. How's that? Feel better? So the endpoints of this 0.5 right here, well, let's take a look at it. Well, x is going to be, this time I got 500 plus 500, so that's 1.5. Remember, we're going to tell it where it ends, where the arc ends. So x is 1.5. What's y? Well, y is going to be 880 plus 0.5. I believe that is, if I'm not wrong, I better double check that, 0.88 plus, all right, 0.5 equals 1.38. Very good, and that's what I got right here. Now, don't forget to include your radius. You'll see some programs comes with the I's, J, and K moves. Don't use those if you don't have to. Just stick with the R's. Okay, R 0.5. Remember, the feed rate's modal, so you don't have to put the feed rate in there. Don't do it. I'm not going to. Okay, so the next one, we're going to go to 0.6. All right, so 0.6 is going to be right here. So that was 0.5. Here's 0.6, so that's a GO1. So we're going up. X is not going to change. I just put that in there. I would not have to put that in there, but it's best you just get in the habit of doing it for right now. You're just learning. Y is 2 inches. How do I know that's 2 inches? Well, it's 2.5 inches from Y0 to the top minus 500 thousandths. So yeah, Y is 2 inches. So I went right to there. That looks good. Let's go to 0.7. Control S here. All right, 0.7. So 0.7 is another arc. This time we're going clockwise, so we should have a GO2. So we're going to GO2 to X, GO2 to a 0.7, which is X is 2.5. Okay, and Y is going to be, should be 2 with a radius of 500 thousandths. There we go. Right there. That's exactly what you want. Okay, now next move, we're going to go to 0.8. All right, at 0.8, what are we going to do here? Well, we're going from here to there. So let's see. X is still at 2.5. And we got Y at 1.75. Now, how did I come up with that? 1.25 plus 0.5 equals 1.75. So just do that. Remember, feed rate's modal. It's going to carry the whole time. So there, that'll take us to that, which is that point there. So let's get ready to go to 0.9, which I think is another arc, isn't it? Yeah, I know it's another arc. Okay. So this time we're going, well, we're going counterclockwise, looks like to me. So that's a GO3. G03. X is going to end. We're going right here. Okay, that's 0.9 right there where the arc ends. And X is going to be 2.5. Y is going to be 0.75. How do I know that? Well, take 1.25 and subtract 500 thousandths from it this time, and you get 0.75. We still have an R 0.5. That should do it. Next one here. Let's go ahead and do this. 0.10. Okay, so 0.10 is another GO1 because we're going to go from there to where this other arc begins. So X is still should be at 0.10. X still should be 2.5. We haven't changed. Okay, we're just moving Y. We're only moving the Y-axis. How do I move it? How do I know it's 0.5? Because it's 500 thousandths from there to there. So that's it. So there, 0.10, X 2.5, Y 0.5. Great. Okay, let's go to the next point, which is going to be 11. All right, at 11, what are we going to do right here? Well, we got another arc from there to there. So this is point 11 right here. Now, I don't have any way of writing on these things, so you're just going to have to deal with it, but that's where it's at. So we look at this, we're going to GO2 because it is a what? Yep, that arc is clockwise, so GO2. X is going to go to 2 inches. How do I know it? Well, it's 2.5 from there to there. Subtract 500 thousandths because I got 500 thousandths radius. And I get X2. Y is going to end at 0. And again, we're going to have an R of 0.5. Always get that R in there. It won't work if you don't. Okay, now we're going to go from point 11 to point 12, which is where this other chamfer begins here. So let's go ahead and get this. Yeah, all right. So GO1, linear interpolation. Remember the feed rates modal? Don't have to do any of that. So I'm going to go to, well, Y is at 0, so I'm not going to change that. But I am going to move just X, just moving the X-axis. And I'm going to move it to 60 thousandths. All right, so I got GO1 X60. That's all I need to put in there. All right, next line, which is next point, 13. All right, 13. So at this particular point, what we're going to do is, okay, now, since this is a chamfer, remember, chamfer 60 and 60 on one side, 60 on the other, so we're actually going to go to, we're going to GO1 to X0, boom, and Y is going to go to 60 thousandths, because it's going to, so that'll actually, okay, because we were at X 60 thousandths, so we moved both two axes this time. That's why we get our little chamfer, our little angle there. All right, now we're going to do something else here at this particular point. Now again, we're just teaching a little bit about how cutter comp works. All right, we're going to go ahead and turn cutter comp off. Now to turn it off, you have turned it on up here with the G41 and a move that was, greater than the radius of the cutter. I go 50 thousandths greater, which is why I just recommend you do the same. So we're going to go GO1, G40. We're going to go back to our safe start, Y minus 0.175. Okay? All right, now this is not going to make a perfect part. We're not leaving stock. We're not taking finish passes or anything like that. Okay, we don't have all that like we had all that cool stuff in the G70s and the G71s in the lathe. You don't have that in the mill. Too bad. All right, so we went to that. That turns cutter comp off. Now, right there, that is not a point. Now, also remember, we're going to go over, and then we got to go down to turn it off. So the next thing is we're going to GO1 to X minus 0.175, which was our safe start in X. So remember, wherever you turn your cutter, wherever you start, wherever your safe start is, you turn your cutter comp off and move one axis over, usually a perpendicular move, and then down. So it's going to go like this. Here's how we turned it on. Over and up. Here's how we turn it off. Over and down. You should have a little square there. That's what you should end up doing. All right. So we turned cutter comp off. And in both of these moves is cutter comp off, okay? Then I went ahead and rapided, and this one I rapided Z up to 100,000th of the part, turned that coolant off so I don't get splashed right there. The next move, I just went ahead and give it a G28, and I moved Z up to 4 inches. So what this G28 does on a mill is, again, it's going to send it all home. But first it's going to move to Z4. So Z is going to rapid straight up, then everything's going to go home. Then we have our M30, always an M30, please don't forget that, and then your percent sign. That's all there is to it. Now, let's take a look and see how that runs in this NC view thing, which hopefully it works. I haven't used it enough to know how gimpy it is. I am going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to bring this all up here. I've got it bookmarked right here. Okay, you can just go like this. This is an open new file. You can copy and paste, but you can also open a file. So I'm opening the file, and I'm going to this one right here, which this is the one I've been working on, the solution to mill lab number 2. Open it up. There it is. Now I'm going to get this out of the way. This works just like NC plot did. All right. So let us go ahead. Now notice it drew it already. Looks pretty good. You can fool around with this right here and do different views. This thing though, you can get lost on it real easy. If you do get lost, just hit the home button it'll always take you back. Like let's say, oh look, there you can check your depths. Okay, then you go home. Home is always that. It defaults to that. I'm sure you could change it if you wanted to, but why? I don't see why. So let's go ahead, so rewind it, okay? And we'll step it forward at one time. Here we go. So there we go. We're at x0, y0, z.1. Let's put our digital readout on. Okay, let's see if that works. I'm going to guess it. Okay, once we get to a move here. Okay, Z came down to 4 inches, just like it was supposed to. Activated my tool length offset. Now it's at X0, Z0, and Z's at 100 thousandths. Hard to see it, but it did show it right here. So there we go. Okay, next move, we should go to our safe start spot for our cutter comp. Boom. Now, I did that all at once. Didn't mean to do that. I'll start over. Sorry. Not going to start this recording over every time I make a mistake. So let's get going back down to all that. Now we're at our safe start spot. Z is coming down 130 thousandths. That gets us 5 thousandths less or greater than the thickness of the part. Now, here is this move right here. This is the important one because this is where the G41 becomes active. Watch, it'll comp, and then now it's going to comp back up. Now, if this thing actually had comp and worked, that it wouldn't make that move like that. But that's okay. Don't worry about it. Trust me, if we'd put these on the Haas, you'd see exactly what's happening. Notice that D1 is very important there again. So at that point, now I'm bringing it up to there. Okay, I just did that to keep it straight. I could have actually brought it straight up to this point all in one move, and that'd been fine too, and save you a line. But whatever. So there we went to there. I'm gonna cut the chamfer. Okay, there. Cut my radius. Go back up there. Cut another radius. Another GO1. Another GO3. Kind of just skipped that whole GO3, didn't it? Well, that's fine. GO1, let's see if it does this one. No, it's kind of hard to tell really, but there, it did that. Over here, then it's going to finish up my radius here, or not my radius, but my chamfer. Okay, at this point, Z should come up. Okay, oh, it came down. Yeah, that's right, went over. There we go. Okay, looks like it works pretty good. That's what yours should look like. Okay, so we can rewind it and just run the whole thing. Notice if you rewind it, it goes backwards. So you can go backwards. Rewind it. Guess you have to go forwards first. Yeah, and then you can backstep. Backstep. Boy, it doesn't backstep very well. Well, what do you expect for free, huh? Okay. All right. At that particular point, I think I'm going to say goodbye. I will post this. I'll post the lab. I'll post the G&M code quiz here pretty soon. Probably won't have one of those until the next module. All right? Hope everybody's staying safe. Bye.